Happy Friday, everybody. Just sitting here going over some things this Friday. We got a few things to go over that's in the inbox. I did get an inbox from somebody from Chase Bank, somebody I know, Tom Tesmer, wanted me to make people aware that Chase Bank has grants as well. His number is going to be 716-353-1586. Once again, if you're a first-time homeowner, we were talking about grants last week that HSBC had one for up to $20,000. But Chase Bank made me aware that they have grants as well, various grants. The person to call, his name is Tom Tesmer, and that number is 716-353-1586. And thanks from the call from Chase Bank. We appreciate the calls and the stuff we get in our inbox from different people from the bank. So that's good there. Now, when you go to CTON, make sure your credit score is 620. Make sure you have 2 years of W-2s. If you're on SSD, make sure you have your award letter. Have this stuff in order before you call Tom, and we'll get some stuff together here, get you on your way. So that's one thing. I did want to talk about gas prices. Right now we're in a truce, and the saying is that I want to say gas prices go up like a rocket, but they come down like a feather. So it's going to take some time. But let's look back at what happened, and real quick, gas prices went up approximately right around $1.20. I want to say $1.22, but they have it down here in my notes as $1.20. What else happened along the way? If it wasn't for the truce, I think we were going 35 to 40 cents higher, which still could happen. There are surcharges on FedEx, Amazon, the post office. All types of stuff is going on through this 2-week ceasefire. That looks a little sketchy, looks a little shaky. So, we want to try to make sure that we keep our eye on these gas prices and, try to do best we can, because it's going to be an up and down roller coaster ride. In some local finance, when we always been keeping an eye on this Buffalo Grand Hotel. I know I've been calling it something else, but the Buffalo Grand Hotel. And what's this guy? Harry Stinson, I want to say. Now, April 29th, he has to show that he has financing in place to get this building together. Due to the fact, that's one of the things I think they need to press him a little harder on, due to the fact that's money, the city is in a bind, so to speak, and it's time to look at diversified sources of income, just like you would if you were in a household. So hopefully he has that financing in place, and other events, bigger events can start coming to the city, because they had to turn events down right around 35, 40 million. So, and that's from a report that somebody gave me. So that's another bit of big news. I did want to talk about real quick the credit score on the inbox, and I know we talk about, a lot of times we talk about payment history, which is 35%, and I want to talk about this credit usage that we have talked about in the past, and I keep talking about it. It's like every 3-4 weeks, because it's in the inbox every 3-4 weeks. Or somebody may have a good credit score, but their debt to income ratio was high. So what can you do to combat? You can consolidate debt, and that will bring down your DTI, but not to get in that position. Once again, that debt to income ratio is a telling sign. So actually, the person that's in the inbox is right around 32%. 32% isn't really bad, okay? But from a banking standpoint and an underwriting standpoint, when I sat down with some underwriters maybe about a month or two ago, when we sat down and chopped it up, they made me aware that institutions are looking at 25 to 27%, and so we got to do to keep that down. And I've been talking about that with fees and bank fees and ATM fees. So, that's a tidbit of information. Trying to stay on time for my timekeeper. And another thing in the inbox, it was asked that I think it was a good idea that we share tolls. I think it was at Vermouth, where the lanes is where they can't get the oil through. I guess administration had said that they could do tolls and they could share money themselves and us and Iran, so to speak. And they want to know what I think about the idea. Not a bright idea, due to the fact that would build up their economy and actually would increase their dollar as far as worth goes. But that may be something somebody may sit down and talk to them about. Sometimes we say stuff and we're just not educated and don't know what we're talking about. But back to the credit piece. We want to make sure that credit piece is together. And that's for my small business owners too. I know there's a $20,000 grant out there. I've been putting it on my page, sharing it, giving it to different people that inbox me. So we want to make sure that we have everything together as far as that goes. Because banks look at your credit. They don't look at the small business credit. They look at your credit. And so you want to make sure that is together. 35% payment history. I didn't know I was going to go here. I might go over. So I'm sorry to the timekeeper. 35% payment history is key, that you keep that payment history together, whether it be auto deduct, whether it be you got a reminder on your phone, whether it be whatever you need to do to make sure that payment history, that's a heavy piece of the puzzle. That's doing the heavy work. Always remember, anything past 30 days is going to be reported to the credit bureau. When I talked about that 30 for 30 rule, please make note of the change since it hasn't been publicized. That if you do, let's say, for example, have $100 credit card, let's try not to use no more than $25 of that credit card. It used to be 30, and I'm bringing it up again. It's 25. It's affecting some people. That's why it's in my inbox. I talk about it, and the 15% is that length of credit. How long have you had that car? How long have you had that vehicle? And then you have the credit mix, which you don't need to worry about the credit mix if you're building credit. So now I'm going to rewind, and the 10% is new credit. That's why you have the credit tree. And if you ever want me to go through the credit tree deep in detail, just call us out. We'll do it. We'll do a workshop on credit. We'll bring some people out with us. However, this separate piece is for my people with the secured credit card. My secured credit card people, which I talked about before, and I got to talk about it again because it's in the inbox. Y'all must not be watching me. When you got a secured credit card, stop using the secured credit card like it's a real credit card. Don't nobody know what kind of credit card it is except you. You shouldn't be spending more than $20 a month on this credit card. The purpose of this credit card is to build your score up. It's not for you to go over in a car. It's not for you to go out to the club. I don't know where y'all going. I don't know where you're going. You might be going to Good Vibe. If you're going to Good Vibe, don't put out your secure credit card. Have cash. Okay? It's not for that. Secure credit card is simply to build up that credit. Because you're going to get that deposit back 9 times out of 10. So we want to make sure that happens. And then you want to keep paying it back. Not paying back the minimum payment. I'm saying the same thing again, but paying back the statement balance. If you spend $20, pay back $20. The problem is some of these people don't know how to use the credit cards. Now they're going back to the credit card company asking for a hardship program when they should have. Actually, it's a lot of people's fault. It's the bank's fault for not teaching when they walk out the door. They sell a product, you gone, you don't talk to them no more. That's a whole other part of underbanking that I don't even want to get into because I'm way past my limit. But I do want to point in and punch in place how important the credit is for everybody, including the small business owner, because it goes along with their risk rating, which is a 2-digit number that I talked about before. So, just bringing it back up there, thanks to everybody in the inbox. Thanks to Tom Tusmer from Chase Bank and, any other banks that, sometimes it's a good inbox. Sometimes it's a bad inbox I get from the bank. So whatever you give me, it's good. but it's all real facts. So look out for Real Facts to come on Facebook. We have some more guests coming on, a wide variety of guests coming on. We're going to surprise you with some people we got coming on. If you want to be on the show, give me a call. And look for us on TikTok. Look for us also on YouTube. But just look for us. Always stay on point and always get the real facts.